So yeah, the Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2 dev teams have been very busy today, and they answered some of the biggest questions, some of the biggest concerns have been lingering in the minds of the community. Finally, we got some clarity here. So yeah, you guys may remember that year 1 roadmap where it did say we're getting a new enemy type for season 2, 3, and 4. Some people were like, hey, looks like it's going to be an entirely new faction. Will we see Necrons? So yeah, we got clarity exactly what this is, and hold your hype. We are not getting a new faction anytime soon, but there is good news. The new enemies do come with something cool. Plus, we're getting new weapons and a very highly requested feature that is being added to the game as well. And will we see full-blown operations mode dedicated to Chaos Marines? And yes, things are actually looking very good for Chaos customization. And will the Sisters of Battle eventually make their way to the game as well? So we got a lot to talk about, but we're going to start with the most important thing right here. So let's get straight into the responses from the creative director of Space Marine 2. Check it out. So it says, when you say new enemy on the roadmap, do you mean like, who knows, Norn Emissary added, or Orcs or Necrons like an entire faction? So the response is this: it would be new enemies for the existing factions in the game. Adding a new faction would be a huge undertaking for this game. It's possible, but resource intensive and would require narrative justification. Space Marine 3 is wide open for new factions though. Winking smiley face. And I know that some of you probably just had a gut check there, and that is extremely disappointing, but that's kind of why in previous videos I was warning you guys, keep your expectations in check. You know, I really do not believe this is going to be an entirely new faction whatsoever, because yes, it is a lot of work adding in an entirely new faction. It would have been nice though, I will say, if they could have pulled this off for an expansion. Maybe they could do some sort of bigger expansion, but I am not going to overhype stuff. I just don't believe in that. I want to keep expectations in check about this one. But at the very least, it would be badass to see the Necrons kind of celebrate it in a way with a 12-hour campaign to really give them a good foundation when heading into, you know, operations mode or something like that. They could do a lot with that, and they should give them their spotlight and do it appropriately. So, all right, but yeah, these new enemies are going to be coming with something cool. Check this out right here. It says, will there be more finisher animations, or at least more variations? I love the knife finishers, but Zone Throw, Scarab Occult, Terminator, and Raveners all have only one each. Here's the response. It's possible, but as always, it's a case of resources. We have to carefully choose where to invest time to maximum effect. There are new enemies coming in the roadmap, though, that will spice things up for sure. So it sounds like those new enemies will be providing new, really cool finishers. So that's pretty cool to hear. Now, let's keep going, shall we? Because we've got new weapons. So it says, I got 2. I'm not deep into the lore, but will the orcs, make a return? And number 2, will old weapons like the Storm Bolter be coming back from the previous game? Response is this: as for orcs, that would have to be something for the future if we choose to go down that route. Who knows? As for weapons, we have a lot of IP restrictions on what we can and can't use with different characters and armor types. There will be more weapons though, for sure. So, hey, it's 100% confirmed that yes, now we know we will be getting some brand new weapons we can goof around with. I love that. And I also do want to say that I do think they need to revisit some of these weapons and definitely do some balance adjustments. Some of these weapons need to be buffed for sure. Also, we have this one right here. All I want to say is that the ending was amazing. I hope the next game also has this style of happy ending. Also, could you please add the flamethrower for the heavy class? Great point. Thanks so much for your kind words. As for the pyroblaster for heavy, there are certain restrictions we have to abide by from an IP standpoint, but we will look at all of this going forward. Thanks. So to me, I'll be honest with you, that's more of like a non-answer. Wouldn't hold your breath on that one, but man, it would be really, really badass at the very least to see that added into PvE. It makes sense if they could add like that swarm type enemy from the campaign. That would be very, very cool. And mentioning weapons, we have this one. I desperately need the power axe since Ufar is using it in the intro, and I also desperately request for finishers. And we have this. I'll pass these on to the team. That axe is beautiful, and I myself would love to play with it. Maybe a personal game dev hack is in order. And I highlight this comment here from the creative director because if he's this invested in it, I think that maybe, just maybe, there's a bigger chance that this weapon would be added to the game eventually, and it would be badass to see for sure. All right, so what do we got next? Check it out. It says, congrats on the game launch. Is there any chance in the future for us to play as a dreadnought in an operation, even if briefly? Now, the response is, it's certainly something we've considered, though that would take some serious balancing to make it work. How about for horde mode? That's all I got to say. That's where it would be added. If they did add a dreadnought, I'm telling you, it would be most likely for a horde mode. All right, so what do we got next? Because there is a follow-up response here. So it says, glad to hear that it was considered. As someone who consumes the lore outside the game, I think the game could use more data slates to expand the universe inside the game, even if they are not voice acted. And one final piece of feedback, chapter-specific perks, Red Thirst. And we have a response. There is a librarian update coming. So, hey, for those of you that were requesting that sort of thing previously, it is going to be actually happening. So that's cool. Now, also, here is the next one. Would there be any way you would add the Chaos Space Marines some customization as well? And while you are at it, what about getting them to co-op PvE as well, telling their side of their story, similar to how Armageddon does with the orcs? The response is this. There are a lot of requests for more Chaos customization, so it's likely we'll add it eventually. Chaos stories would be cool, but we'll have to see. I'd love to tell their side of the story. So, you know, that would be nice. And there was also another comment here from the creative director. I don't have it here in front of me right now. And he did go on to say a whole Chaos, like operations type mode, would require a lot of balancing, adjustment, that sort of thing. So it would be a ton of work that they would have to commit to. So, you know, it seems like Chaos customization is more of a thing that would happen. And as for like an entire operations mode dedicated to the Chaos Marines, that's a whole thing that might be tabled. So yeah, that's just my speculation there. All right, so what do we have next? How come there were no Sisters of Battle, Adeptus, Sororitas throughout the campaign, considering they're so widespread? On a side note, could they be added in the future as playable and customizable characters? This is a great question. Response is, this is a common question. We are huge fans of the sisters, and we really wanted to add at least one, but it would have required an entirely new animation set. They are different size, and this is problematic for combat and animations. We really want to make it work in the future, though. So this is something that they are considering, and it would be pretty cool to see. I did actually watch a really cool cutscene with the Sisters of Battle, and yeah, they're actually pretty badass. So I do think in some way they could make them work down the road. Let me know if this is something you guys would like to see. And then this guy right here also brought up this. I mean, most of the heavy lifting is already done. There are already the Chaos classes, which would be the same once you add the customization. Just adding Chaos campaign, at least PvE co-op missions first, takes the same effort as doing the Space Marine ones. And the response is this is actually not that simple. We need new animations, proper balancing, full voiceover and script for the Chaos Marines to make them feel real. It's a big job. In my opinion, it sounds like he's just saying we want to do them service. We don't want to rush it. And, you know, clearly they are about quality. With how this game has turned out, I don't blame them for wanting to get that sort of thing right. All right, so next up we have, for me, I'm rocking Salamander Colors. Since we don't have an option for black skin, red eyes, the Vanguard class is my go-to. It'd be nice to take that helmetless head and apply it to other classes. The response here is, I understand, but we don't have plans to do this right now. We may come back around it down the line, though. So it sounds like Salamander customization right now is kind of tabled for them. And they have other priorities currently. Perhaps Chaos Marine customization would be above that, but we'll see. Also, we have this right here. Will we ever see older Mark variants make it into customization for multiplayer? Response is this. The difficulty is that the older armor does not work with Primaris Marines, meaning they would have to be specifically veterans. They are also a different size, which means a whole new animation set for every move, including executions, etc. It's actually a huge amount of work. So keep your expectations in check on that one for sure. And we'll be seeing more customization options for Heretic Astartes in PvP, and especially PvE. I like being able to rock their color scheme in operations, but it would make me more happy to have more Chaos operations. And the response is, in a word, yes. So there's a lot of hope about that one. And we have not really story, but it would be a huge quality of life improvement if the perks change based on the loadout in operation, since some perks are for specific weapons. And this was a good suggestion. We're going to be passing it on to the team currently. So at least that's kind of like in front of the team, and they are kind of like mulling it over and considering it. Also, we have Payne, who says, I figured when I was looking at the selection for all classes, but say less. One more question. Could old PvP maps possibly return? Excellent question. And the response is, I mean, anything is possible, but it would require a huge revamp to fit into the new game. Can't promise anything, I'm afraid. Whatever maps do come will be very cool. I can guarantee that. So we are going to be getting a new PvP map that has been confirmed. And yes, for those of you more curious about PvE, that is also going to be happening, new content for PvE. And we got even more. It says, my friend has been getting mad at me in multiplayer PvP about me stealing his kills when he does most of the damage, but I shoot once and take the kill. Will there ever be a feature where assists will count as kills if somebody does 75 to 90% damage but doesn't take the last shot? And Oliver here says, not sure, but we'll discuss with the game director for sure. Do you guys feel this needs to be adjusted and fine-tuned? Do you feel like you need more credit with this sort of thing beyond just like a kill assist, that you should be kind of credited for the kill if you're doing like all the work? I get the complaint there for sure. And we got this one. Hello, Oliver. Absolutely loving the game. Not sure if this has been asked, but is there any plans to add tag team takedown animations for elite mini bosses in missions? That would be badass. This is a superb idea. We don't have plans for it, but I like it a lot. We'll discuss with the game director. That would be so freaking cool if they could add that in, especially if they're considering adding in new enemy types, you know, and they have to do new animations anyway. Just try it out. See if they can actually pull that off and make it work. All right, so guess what I have for me? Your comments. And we're going to go over the top comments from my previous video for a chance for your comment to end up right here on the screen. Be sure to leave a comment down below. I love reading through all the comments. Here we go. We have Terminator armor, lightning claws, chain guns, storm bolters. This is what you guys want to see. 475 upvotes. Hope the dev team is paying attention. A larger scale of operations would be fantastic. A proper 5-man tactical squad would be excellent. And they've already replied about that, by the way. There was another reply. I will paraphrase. And they said that would be very challenging and difficult. So, yeah, I don't know if that's going to happen with this game. I'm not going to say it would never happen, but when you consider matchmaking and how it's set up, they want to keep expanding the pool of operations available in the matchmaking, and to like have a whole separate playlist it would be difficult. You would end up dividing the community. It would definitely be a challenge with the current infrastructure of the game for sure. However, it would be really cool to see. Don't get me wrong. Now, we also have this one right here. I think people in general don't care all that much if future operation missions are Space Marine 2 story canon. Most people want more fun missions with more variety of objectives, so it does not get boring. That's what will keep a game alive. Once the hype dies down and there's nothing new and exciting to do, players move on. I am very glad Space Marine 2 is such a success. I just hope the developers can keep the momentum going. This game could have a very bright future. That is going to be the challenge. Can they keep this one going? Because they have a lot in the pipeline. It always worries me, of course. Yes, they are focused on Space Marine 2. Don't get me wrong. They said they will be focused on in the long term. But they also have other projects like the Jurassic Park survival game, which, by the way, I can't wait for. So, yeah, you know, beyond the first year of support for this game, it's going to be interesting to see how they stick with this and how they kind of divide the workflow between Space Marine 2, expanding upon it, and doing this, you know, Jurassic Park project. So we'll see how they handle it. And there's a comment I had to skip over. You know, some of you might not have finished the story, so I'm not going to get into any story stuff here. However, we have this one. I would love Chaos Operations playing as the Black Legion or Death Guard would be cool. Hell yeah. Also, their matchmaking needs improvements for sure. Having to see the loading screen 5 times before you can play because you match up with someone that leaves as a leader is so annoying, and it happens way too often. Yeah, I don't know how they would adjust that one. That's going to be up to the dev team. I'm definitely not like some sort of server expert or matchmaking expert on that one. Anyway, there it is. Thank you all so much, as always, for the comments, for the love and support on the videos. I seriously greatly appreciate it. I hope you guys are enjoying the videos, by the way. I have been really grinding it out over here. It is early in the morning right now. So, yeah, really pushing out the content for you guys, keeping you guys in the know. But thank you all. It's been worth it for sure. You guys showing your love and support has just meant the world to me. Thank you, and I will see you all next time. Take care.